Well, you can't trust County.
Back from New York. I have things to
I
tell
was
you.
just going to ask you. I was like, okay, when are we starting? Because I have so much to ask you about New York. Favorite shows, seeing Jordan and David.
Yeah.
It looked like a blast.
It was so much fun, so much fun. I saw Death Becomes Her with Jennifer Simard and it was a religious experience because Megan Hilty has been out of the production because of a vocal injury. I didn't know this when I booked the tickets because I booked them like 2 months in advance, and I was like, Mel, we have tickets for her first night back on stage. Allegedly, I may have recorded the entire performance.
Stop.
Allegedly. For no one else but me, for posterity, for personal posterity. Allegedly. I don't know if any of this
Allegedly.
is true. But I was so excited.
Dead.
It was crazy energy in that house. Amazing energy.
Oh my God. That is like actually divine intervention that happened and you had no idea.
Mel didn't even appreciate it. She was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, I was talking to Bo about it. I was like, this is my dream.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go to a Broadway, like a historic Broadway performance, like an opening night or a closing night, a final performance, a first performance back. So I got that with this. It was so good.
My God. I'm envisioning you sitting Mel down like in a diner before y'all go in. You're like, no, I want you to listen up. I need
literally.
You to
Literally. I was like, you have to, I was like, I don't want to like overshoot this to like muddy her expectations. So I was trying to convey the importance of it without being like, it's going to be incredible. You're going to love it. Like it was.
Oh my God. That's amazing. And then Kit Kat Club looked incredible.
That's what I was going to say. Listen, Death Becomes Her. This is what I learned. Death Becomes Her was nonstop fun from start to finish. Voices were incredible. The music is great. It's so much spectacle, so much fun. I would see it again. Cabaret, I would not go see again. However, I would recommend of the two shows, go see Cabaret.
Really? Like it was just so immersive that you're like, I couldn't have the same experience again?
It's just partially that because this is actually the last week, the last like 4 days, now that I'm looking at the date of Ava Noblanzada and Orville Peck in those roles. If they had opened that show, I am convinced one, if not both of them, would have been nominated, if not won Tonys.
Oh my God.
Orville Peck I had no idea what to expect with him, but he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. He's made for that role.
I need to like study him more and listen to him more because I'm not super familiar, and
I wasn't either.
I just have a feeling that he would be fabulous.
He really was. I had to do some research after, and I was like, what is this guy's background? Like, where did he come from? And it made sense after I looked it up that he trained in musical theater because he's superb in the show.
He's from the South, right?
Actually, I think he's from South Africa. Yeah, I think he grew up in South Africa, and then I think he moved to Canada or something.
Oh my God.
So naturally, he sings Southern American music, just like myself.
And, wait, okay. And reminder that his thing is like he's got that like fringe cowboy hat, isn't that
Yes,
him?
he wears the mask. Yeah, so the whole like allure of them marketing him for the show was like, come and see the reveal of Orville Peck.
Oh my God.
And he has so much makeup on throughout the show. You really, truth be told, can't tell what he looks like until the end of the show. But outside of that, he was just really like electric in that role. And Ava was amazing in that role. The whole cast was so great.
Oh
so good. We cried. Jordan and David were bawling. It's so worth it. And specifically, it's worth it, Creepers, to go see it on the floor.
Oh my God.
Shell out for the seats on the floor if you can. You will not regret that theatrical experience.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm living vicariously through. Like I'm like, I have to get to New York tomorrow to see live theater. I haven't seen any. I mean, I saw something recently, but like it was not fabulous.
In DC?
Indeed. Well, I saw Les Mis.
Wait, it wasn't good?
I mean, it was good. It was a great production.
One more day. I don't know.
But I was sort of one day more. But it was sort of like, I mean, it was just, I've seen that show before. It doesn't really change a ton. And I've been craving like a Kit Kat Club experience.
Did you say clit?
I think I did. I think I did.
What's the time? 9:48.
I was gonna say, are we premium? No.
No, that's the thing.
But I'm craving that kind of just new experience, or just a new musical like Death Becomes Her or something. Like I need that.
Agreed. I wanted to see something fresh. John Proctor's in New York now, which we've both seen because we saw Jordan in it, but that's getting crazy good reviews right now.
Does she want to see it? Has she seen it?
We talked about it actually. She does not want to see it only because she was in the DC production, and it's such a different vibe and staging that she has decided she doesn't want to see it.
Yeah.
That maybe it would sort of muddy what her experience was in DC, and that's okay.
Totally.
She lived it.
Yeah. She was in the freaking world premiere, baby.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God. Well, I'm so glad you had such an amazing, there's nothing like a New York trip with some theater. There's nothing like it.
Girl, it's hot there right now.
Baby, it's hot here. Why do you think creepers? I have to tell them that I get on camera and Silas goes, she slicked back.
That was first of all, that was a commentary on the style, not on like hair looking crazy or sweaty.
But as I'm getting on camera, I'm like, I'm about to look greasy as hell because it is 90 degrees here. We've had flash floods every single day. So it's like when you step outside, it is truly like a sauna. Like it is. So I bet if it was anything, I'm sure like that, New York, we're missing the hot garbage steaming on the edge of the street.
I went to Bathhouse, that spa, just so I could escape the heat.
Yeah.
I literally walked in and I was like, I don't care what it costs. Take the card, get me in. I need to take a shower.
God, that is something that in New York, I wish I could have afforded back in the day, or that somebody would come up with some sort of sanitary public showering in the summer. Not public showering,
truly.
But like
maybe go to Central Park with a hose. You got it.
I was going to say, that's the Kit Clat Club. Oh, God.
No, it was brutally hot. It was kind of tough. It was almost as bad as like in the winter when it was so cold. You just like, it prohibits you wanting to go out. But as soon as like the heat breaks at night, it's much easier.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I got them drunk, those kids, David and Jordan.
You said, y'all are getting married.
Well,
or the champagne.
Because it was an engagement thing. So I was like, first, let's go. I was like, let's all get drinks immediately because it's immersive the second you walk into the club.
Oh, okay.
There's just a pre-show. There are drinks. There's like, it's very 1920s. They put a sticker over your phones, so phones are not the vibe. And they've got flapper dancers around. They've got live piano, live clarinetists, like going wild in the Kit Kat Club Lounge. And we got drinks. And then I got each of us a little mini bottle of champagne for the show. And then so at intermission, David was like, let's keep the party going. And he got everybody like a full can of wine. And I was like, we're about to get drunk.
You know, when you get the canned wine at intermission, it's going down.
You can tell the Grim Reaper is around the corner going,
welcome back.
I see you. And I just want to talk to you. So that's what it was. And we kept going out. We went out to a bar immediately after.
Of course. You're in New York.
Oh, we were wasted. Thank God for the Uber.
God.
But very fun trip. I was so happy to be there. And I can't wait to go back in August with you.
I know. I am so excited for that trip. I have literally just been like, what am I going to do when I'm there? I've been texting friends being like, bitch, are you, sorry, 1331. I'm like,
maybe I'll just make this unedited.
Here we are.
It's fine.
I'm like, but I'm so excited for that trip. It's gonna be so fun. I gotta find a show for us to see.
I was just talking today at an appointment with my therapist. I was like, I'm gonna pump the brakes on shows, and he was like, why? And I was like, I think it just takes up too much time in New York. I think I need more time to like be in the city.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, maybe we can do a workaround and I can get the tickets and then force you to come with me.
Maybe we can settle at karaoke or something. Yeah, be the show for each other.
Yeah.
Oh God. This feels good. It feels good to be back on a regular app.
I know. And I know I always say this when it's dark outside, but I feel so nostalgic if we record late because I'm just like, it feels like old school vibes. Spooky.
Well, you know, we've got T-minus 30 minutes, a little more until you know who comes by.
Oh, okay. In my mind, the first thing I thought of was long legs. And I was like, wait. Did he come around at 9:00? Is it Silas's birthday? Like, wait,
No,
hold on.
I ordered him as a mail order stripper. I said, get over here now.
I would put it past you. I would not put it.
But you know what time it is. The ice cream man.
The ice cream man.
It's what we forget because we record at such a different time now.
Also might be long legs. Let's be real.
I've only ever seen him through like, I don't know, a crated window. So it's difficult to say what he actually looks like. But he's a very nice man.
Very nice.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Before anything happens, I guess we should just disclose, now that we're 25 minutes into the episode, that we are not officially back from hiatus. We are still on break, but this is a special surprise episode just to check in with the creepers and see how your summer's going. How you guys doing?
Babies, we can't stay away too long.
Not too long. We had to give you a little check-in just to let you know that we're still alive and well. And we've been rolling out premium episodes week after week. So we just wanted to do one quick bonus episode so we could say hello. And I actually was thinking about which case would be good for this. And I started to go to the Reddit comments, and I scroll those when I'm missing the creepers. I found a suggestion. And the second I read the name, I was like, that sounds really familiar. So I decided to research it, and I pulled up a picture and I instantly recognized the story. And I was like, this is the right story to cover right now. Do you know the story behind Andrew Gosden?
Stop.
Do you know it?
I know it very briefly because I saw that suggestion, and I just sometimes when I see suggestions, I'll go and do like a little bit of like a research on the top line of it if it would be interesting in the future. And that one, I'm so glad you're covering it because I was about to launch into doing research for it.
Oh my God. Do you know anything about it? Did you start anything?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
you did.
All I know is just the top line is that like he skipped school one day. He took out like 200 pounds, and then he went to King's Cross Station and they never saw him again.
Did you do research on this case?
No,
I've literally thought about this from day one. I was like, there's going to be a day where I assume Stu is blind reacting or vice versa. And one of us has already done the research for like an upcoming episode.
No, I swear to God. I did. I mean, read, but I mean, things, things go in my brain and things leave my brain immediately. So,
but that is the top line though.
Yeah.
But I did a full comprehensive deep dive on this. I'm really excited now to get into it with you because you have a little bit of a runway of knowing where we're going, and I have so much to uncover with this case.
Oh my God.
But again, I should touch on something I just said too, because I know that, as I mentioned, we've been rolling out premium episodes, and we tend to do that during the hiatus where we crank out premium episodes every Friday. It's kind of an uninterrupted CreepTime experience for the premium subscribers, the Creamiums. If you wanted to try premium and wanted to join it, you could do so on Spotify and unlock all of the hidden episodes ad-free. You can also do it on Apple Podcasts, where you can get a 2-week free trial. 2 weeks free of unlocking and listening to every premium episode we have. So if there's a time that you've been thinking about trying it and you want to join us, become a Creamium, now is the time, baby.
This is the time to do it. Also, we've got a pretty like hefty premium catalog at this point. So if you're really wanting to binge, you can do it in 2 weeks.
Ad-free, completely uninterrupted, and it's unedited. And we truly are unfiltered on the premium episodes.
This is just a little taste.
Yeah, but I just wanted to call that out before I forgot about it. And I guess I could do a quick intro since this is a regular episode for anybody who is just joining us. This is a wild episode to just join us on, but welcome. Yeah. I'm Silas and this is Stu, and we are your hosts, the hosts of CreepTime, the podcast. We are here every single week when we're not on hiatus.
Hiatus. I was thinking about how weird of a word that is the other day. It's one of those words.
What is the origin, do you think?
Baby, I have no idea. That's actually what sparked it in my mind. Ooh, did you hear that?
Thunder?
The storm is coming. It is about to be cracking lightning. Ooh, I'm spooked. Okay. Ooh.
I'm going to clip that.
Excited.
And that's going to be my ringtone, by the way. Did you hear that?
Ooh, I'm spooked.
Ooh, that was that crack of lot.
Crack. Oh, my God.
Again, welcome back, everybody. This is CreepTime. We're here to get into a case. Thank you for everybody who has stuck around. Thank you for everybody who is waiting patiently through the hiatus. We appreciate all of the support for the show, all of the positive reviews that we've seen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thank you for doing that and supporting us through this. But if I could shift gears a little bit, I think this would be a good time for me to dive into a lengthier top line, since you know a little bit about this case, and talk about the story behind Andrew. So Let's see if I have the actual username who recommended this. It is vjoyce530. They recommended this case, and when I read the top line and I looked up the picture, looked up the name, I knew this would be the right fit. So I will give the creepers a little bit of setup here. 2007, September 14th, to be exact. We are in England, and we don't often cover international cases, so this episode feels extra special. The specific location where we are, this took place in Doncaster, which I looked that up 3 times. I'm pretty sure that's the right way to pronounce it. Am I correct?
Doncaster.
Doncaster,
Doncaster.
South Yorkshire. It's nestled high up on the English map, and the mystery on this day really centralizes around one young man, a teenager named Andrew. He was just 14 years old at the time, and he was described to be intelligent, introverted, and very kind by his family. But something happened on the 14th of September that has haunted this family and community for almost 20 years. On what was otherwise maybe just a normal Friday morning, Andrew got up that morning for school, he got himself dressed, he got himself ready, and he left on foot. But he did not attend school that day. What we know happened is that for some unknown reason, Andrew walked back home, changed out of his school uniform and into street clothes, and then he made his way to a bank ATM, withdrew £200, which he then used to purchase a one-way train ticket to London. This ticket would take him to King's Cross Station, as you mentioned, and he is seen on CCTV footage for what would become the last known verifiable images of Andrew. From that morning on, his whereabouts has become a complete unknown, and why he was traveling to London in the first place has been the pit in everyone's stomach about this. It is the overarching question through all of it. What had him so determined to get that one-way ticket, leave his hometown, and go into the city? Andrew has never been officially seen after the 14th of September, so today you and I are going to unpack the moment by moment of the timeline, the day of, and discuss what really could have happened and what compelled him to leave. Initial reactions and thoughts, since you know a little bit of the top line just on the refresh.
Well, you know what's funny? I was realizing in this moment, I never looked up photos. I just really kind of read, and then I never. So, and I remember thinking from that top line, when it said that the last thing was he was seen on CCTV footage, the first thing in my mind was, oh my God, it reminds me so much of Lars Matank. But, and I meant to go look up a picture because I'm sure it's eerie as hell. And I didn't. So I kind of, do you mind if I look one up?
Well, I have pictures for you, baby.
Well, baby, that's called White Glove.
Did you think I was anything other than a professional on this day? Hold on, let me get you a link.
It's called White Glove service. Yeah.
I have all the pictures for you, so stick to the first page for now because that has all of the pictures of Andrew. You might see some photos of his family, his older sister, maybe a photo of his bedroom. I can't remember if that's on the first or maybe the second page.
I think it's on the first.
Okay, and I will also put these up on Reddit. I promise I will, creepers. But what is the sense that you get for him now that you are seeing a picture of him for the first time, knowing the context of the story of the top line?
You know, it's weird when you read that somebody's 14, it doesn't register just how young that really is. Like, I don't know why in my head I thought he looked a lot older. He looks so young, even for a 14-year-old.
He was described to look younger than he was, too. He was shorter for his age. He looked about 12.
Oh, this is just heartbreaking. Because I'm imagining him venturing off to London by himself. It's crazy.
It's also out of character, we would learn. Like so much about this day and his decisions to withdraw the money to buy the one-way ticket, even though he was offered an alternate, he could have gotten a round-trip ticket for almost no money more. It makes almost no sense, and we have really nothing, as we would learn, to corroborate these decisions. What was drawing him to London? What compelled him to go? Did he have any plans to return? One side of this would suggest yes, and the other would say absolutely not. He got a one-way ticket. So that's what we're going to discuss as we move through the timeline, the investigation, and the multitude of theories that I have around this story.
Oh, what a sweet looking kid. This is going to be, I'm so glad you chose this because it immediately sparked my interest, just the top line.
Same. I wanted to dive into it. I've been thinking a lot about cases through the hiatus of things that I want to cover for season 4 once we're back to. And this would have been one normally that I think I would have reserved, and I would have said, I want to give this more time and I want to see if we can wait it out and if there's more information that comes from it, because to this day, there are still details that arise from the story. but it just felt right to cover now. The suggestion was fresh, and I wanted to tackle it while I had the inspiration to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to shift us back in and see what I have teed up for this, because we've gone through. I had to scroll all the way to the top to get that link for you. I'm sorry. So,
oh my God,
I
you're
screwed my
fine.
notes. Well, actually, maybe this would be a good time before we get into anything deeper with the case. Maybe we could shift into some words from our friends. Would that be a better caveat before we're going to get into anything too heavy? Could we talk a little bit about Magic Mind?
Yes, we absolutely could. We would love to take a moment to shout out our friends over at Magic Mind Creepers. You all already know them so well, but many of you have joined us on the Magic Mind journey, and you guys have found your favorite shots along the way.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to talk about, actually, because some of our personal favorites we've talked about in the past, but I feel like this might be a good time to run them through the official Magic Mind lineup. Would you walk me through the colors?
I wish I had my colors, y'all, but if
me too. They're in my fridge resting.
They're in mine too, because they just sent a new pack, and I'm like, I got to get those things chilled. But creepers, and if you are totally new here, Magic Mind creates wellness and performance shots that are packed with proprietary nootropics and superfood ingredients that are designed to support focus, calm, energy, and it's sort of like a crash-free energy that just gets you through your day.
Yes, and the thing that we're going to walk you through is that they have not one, but 3 different formulas to try. There is the free version, which comes in a blue-green bottle, the original, which people know as the golden yellow, and then there is Max, which is more of a bold red. You can't miss it. And of course, we have our favorites, so that's what we're here to discuss with you.
Well, mine, you
What's
already
yours?
know this. Mine is definitely the free, because it
Just as I thought.
Just as I thought. It is caffeine-free and
Mhm.
sugar-free, but it still delivers that like same boost and focus thanks to the nootropic blend. So it's like perfect for anyone that's sensitive to caffeine or just looking to stay sharp without the
Mhm.
jitters.
I'm on the other end of the spectrum. You know this about me because I'm
That
someone who's
coffee
very
pot.
I'm very lucky that I'm not sensitive to caffeine, because Max is sort of the hyped up version of that, where this is an extra strength formula. It has 3 times the amount of caffeine compared to the original blend for that kind of quick, clean kick of caffeine if you want it. Plus, you get all the same supportive ingredients that you were talking about that you would get in free or the original blend. So if you're like me and you can handle that boost of caffeine, you want more of a slow burn, all day boost of high energy, Max is probably the right move for you. It was for me.
Yeah, and Magic Mind has always been one of the first to partner with CreepTime to get you the best deals to try it for yourself.
Yes,
we
and
got
we got a link for you, actually. They've been very, very generous. They always come out the gate swinging with these huge links, but this is one of the bigger ones that we've seen historically. So in the description of this episode, you can head down and you can click the link, or you can go straight to magicmind.com/creepmf and use your code creep60 to claim your discount of 60% off your very first subscription, baby.
Baby, that's 60%. And they've got a 100% money back guarantee. So they're creepers. There's
that
nothing
part,
to lose.
truly.
That part.
I mean, seriously, if there's nothing to lose and they're giving you one of the biggest discounts that we've seen historically with Magic Mind, you really owe it to yourself to maybe give it a try and join us in the Magic Mind journey. So again, your code is creep60 if you want to get 60% off your subscription. You can try it now while the deal lasts. We have no idea how long they're going to keep it. We seriously cannot wait to see how much you guys are going to love it.
And again, a huge thank you to Magic Mind for always being so supportive of CreepTime, the podcast. It's been such a wonderful partnership.
Truly. I mean, they've been a part of the show and they've been a part of the tour. So thank you again to our friends over there. Thank you for sharing some words with us and getting to partner with us again. We're really excited for you guys to try it. But with all of that said, are you ready to once again shift gears back into this case?
I am. I'm like, I wish I had my Magic Mind with me so I can be...
It's too late for me to do a Max right now, but I could mess with a free if I wanted to. If I wanted to.
If I wanted, baby. Yes, but I am ready.
Well, let's first get into some of the backstory, and I'll fill in some of the blanks of Andrew's story that you may not know or maybe you didn't read in his top line. So, Andrew, he was born on the 10th of July, 1993, which of course makes him 14 at the time of his disappearance in 2007. I could not say for sure through the research that I was looking at, but it sounds like he was born and raised in the same town. So his family lived in Balby. Have you heard of that? Balby, which is a suburb within Doncaster.
Okay.
And again, the pronunciations, I promise you I looked them up, but it's difficult for me to find actual people saying them, and I have a really hard time trusting like online pronunciation tools. I think they
Yeah.
always kind of screw me over, but please know I am doing my best.
I was gonna say, unfortunately, baby, I've been watching Love Island USA and not UK, or else I could probably help you out. But
You see, and that's historical
and
research.
that's
But do you see any images? Did I include some of the town? You might see some of the park on maybe the
yes,
picture below.
yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
you'll
like such
also
a quaint
see.
little town.
Yeah, it really was. It's very beautiful. It's kind of picturesque. You might see, I think it's called Littlemore Lane. This is actually a
Mhm.
direct path that he was on the day that he walked off and technically ran away, if that's what he was doing.
Okay.
But I can give you a little more context on this place, on his family. He was born to his parents, Kevin and Glennis, hardworking couple. I read that his father worked with children, and most commonly, he is reported to be a speech therapist, and his mother worked in finance in some capacity. Andrew, as I mentioned earlier, also had an older sister, just a little bit older. I think she was maybe 2 years his senior. And the family, and many reports that I read, and from what I've sort of taken away from the interviews that I've watched, they were very supportive, very, very loving, and a close household. What's so interesting is that in a lot of the research, they're often described as Christian, which I thought was interesting. And I'll tell you why the context of that is a little strange to me. It is so consistent in so many details talking about his family life. However, nothing that I got suggested that they were like oppressively religious or had forced him into any sort of religion. I actually read that he had requested to stop going to church regularly with his family about 18 months prior to his disappearance. So he was already breaking at 14, where he's like, I really don't want to participate in this. And
Mhm.
they didn't enforce anything. So I find it odd that people often categorize his parents as Christian, or they just constantly hammer that point home because it didn't seem very relevant.
Mm.
I think it's drawing, what I'm saying is, I think it's drawing the wrong assumption, which is that there was trouble in the household because of an oppressive religious conversation going on. And that created animosity that could fuel the theory that Andrew just ran away or was
Yeah.
unhappy. And I don't know if that's the story.
Well, I think sometimes people forget that you can be Christian and open-minded. Both things can be true in some
That's the thing. It's
households.
yeah, it's the way they report on it and the way they document it. It's they kind of just put them in this box because they know that the family identifies as Christian. And Andrew did go to a Catholic high school, so I
Okay.
read. So I think maybe people were just building up a narrative that wasn't there. But
Mhm.
I'll get off my soapbox about it. They didn't even have their children baptized, so I don't think they were oppressively Christian at all. But from everything I read, as I mentioned, supportive, kind, loving household. And the other detail that was kind of interesting here had to do with his personality. A lot of people talked about his intelligence, and I wanted to dive a bit deeper into that because, of course, there are softer details where his family says he was introverted, soft spoken, kind of on the shyer side, a homebody. They used all of these descriptors, but the intelligence factor is actually kind of tangible based on his school records. He was a smart kid. Did you read
Mm.
anything about that?
I do remember that. I do remember reading that he was very, very bright.
100% attendance record at his school, which was Macaulay Catholic High School. And he was in their Young, Gifted, and Talented program, which is reserved for only the top 5% of top performing students in the class.
Mm.
He was described by his teachers to be a gifted young math student, and he had high hopes of one day attending a top university in the UK. So he had a lot kind of going for him academically, and he was being recognized for it. And that was a feature that I wanted to call out because it's valuable insight to think of him as a smart kid, but it's also interesting in some details that come from his father, who goes out of his way to say that Andrew was very smart, but could often be aloof or maybe not street smart.
Mm.
That's very relevant to me in thinking about what his solo travel might have been like to London.
Mm. Mhm.
Other details that I saw here, there's no reporting of bullying in the school, no reporting of harassment or anything. These were all things that I was thinking about when it came to motive about why he would have wanted to leave. And I'll say this to you, and I'll say this to the creepers. I took that with a grain of salt, that there's no reports of bullying, no issues that he had confided in his friends or his family about. However, the summer holiday, I should say, when it comes to the UK and school, typically goes from July to September in most cases. So when this happened on the 14th of September, he's 8 days into the new school year. Fresh group of kids. I wasn't sure if he had just started high school, but if he's 14, I was assuming so.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I could be wrong about that. But that's the thing that was interesting to me. He's 8 days into his school year,
Mm.
and he broke something in his routine, which a lot of people don't talk about, but I want to draw attention to it. So he would often take the bus to school and from school because he lived about 4 miles away. In this first week, on 2 separate occasions, twice, he chose not to take the bus home. That's about a 90-minute walk that he chose to do for
Hmm.
2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked that people don't draw attention to that because I had to assume that there was some catalyst or some reason that he was doing that, whether it was to meet people on the walk home or it was because he wanted to avoid the bus ride entirely. And
Sure.
there is a lot of harassment and a lot of bullying that does take place on a school bus.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get it out of my head, and I just wanted to call it out up front because when people cast doubt on the bullying scenario, I think there's a runway there that maybe we should explore when we get to the theories, but I'll move past it for now. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about when it came to his history and just sort of where he's at in his life at 14, because like I said, perfect attendance record. He had no documented history of ditching school, feeling unsafe at school as he had vocalized. I just couldn't really make sense of what would have been the motivating factor that led up to a day where he decided to do a fake out of getting up, getting dressed, pretending to go to school, and never getting on the bus. And then all of this that ensued with the money, the train ticket, and then wandering through London.
Mm-hmm.
So before I go any further, how are you feeling about all of this and the scenario that's leading up to the day of his disappearance?
I either had already forgotten or did not read that it was 8 days into the school year, and I think that that's
It's
extremely
very
telling.
overlooked. It's very overlooked. Nobody talks about it.
I think that's extremely telling because it's first of all, like, this plan the thing that I'm excited to also talk about is, like, how long we think he had been planning this trip, like, had it been
Mhm.
something because he had met somebody over summer break and, like,
Mhm.
that was the catalyst for this? Or was it like he got to school 8 days in, there was a bully, or he felt uncomfortable, or he was just on sort of like I've said this before, but like on unstable ground because it's a new venture. And like that was the catalyst for him wanting to go and escape and go to London. I'm not sure. But I totally I did not remember that part. And I think that that is something we have to call attention to.
We should reference back to that actually. When we get to the theories, I think we should bring it up again and talk
Hmm.
about what could have been happening at school because the other detail here, and I swore I was going to keep this until the theories, but I have to talk about it up front while it's fresh. His father mentioned that a couple of months prior to his disappearance, which again, this is also heavily overlooked in my opinion, he had made a suggestion to Andrew because he had family that lived in London, specifically his grandmother, and he was like, maybe you might want to take a trip. Would you ever want to take a trip, like a solo trip, and stay with grandma in London?
Mm.
I was running two different tracks with this, thinking about the bullying scenario and a runaway scenario and trying to get away from something happening at school, but also the very real and adult suggested opportunity to go down and visit your grandmother in London.
Hmm.
Could the two things have coincided silently into a plan where it made sense to him to just avoid the bully, get out of town, and do the thing that maybe in his mind his father had already given him permission to do, which is
Hmm.
go visit grandma?
And how comforting if you are being bullied, the
Mhm.
thought of not only escaping that, but being with your grandma. I mean, I could certainly see a scenario where he might have done that.
Yeah, I just wanted to call it out up front, and I know people are screaming because I'm getting ahead of myself. So with that, I'm going to shift us into the timeline so we can go through this step by step and figure out what happened the night before, what happened the moment he woke up until the moment that he is last seen, which is officially, I believe, 11:25 in the morning. So let's start with the night before the disappearance. So this is what we know. Andrew is home for the evening. Both his parents were described to be there that night. I believe his sister was there as well, but I could not confirm that. But I know for sure both of his parents were there. They said it was uneventful. Early that evening, they had prepared dinner. They actually ate together, and then all of them joined in on washing the dishes together, which was a normal thing for them. And then after that, it sounds like Andrew and his father, Kevin, played a computer game where they were assembling a virtual puzzle Again, something they had done before, so nothing out of the ordinary, something Andrew liked to do. So he was somewhat close with his parents and liked spending quality time with them because this would have been a Thursday night. So still a school night, so he's not going out or anything.
Mhm.
The family recalled watching a comedy program on TV. They gave a couple of options. I didn't think the specific program might have been relevant, but I could eat my words eventually. We never know. But around this time, I think it was just Andrew and his mother watching the program, and then the whole family goes to bed. Normal night. September 14th, 2007, the following morning. It was Andrew's mother who came into his room to wake him up for school. She noted that on this morning, he had a particularly hard time getting out of bed, which she said was kind of unusual for him. She's like, that's not usually Andrew. Like, Andrew is kind of like a spring. Like, he just gets up out of bed very quick. And he was also, I'm trying to think of the way she phrased it. She said he was irritable, but it was also out of character.
Mm.
It was not normal for him to be sort of overly groggy, overly irritated, but he just seemed annoyed in the morning of having to get up for school, which again, my mind is spinning because I'm like, he has some negative association with school. I can't say for sure, but
Or is he playing that up because maybe he
Mhm.
thought if I play this up, I can stay home and then mom and dad will leave and go to work and then I can do my plan.
That's interesting too. The idea that he maybe had that plan from the jump, but then couldn't follow through with like trying to get a sick day or like trying to stay home. So he had to think on his feet and kind of fabricate what would happen next, which is kind of the fake out.
Mm-hmm. That's just
I can see
something I
that.
was thinking about. I don't know.
I think it's all on the table right now because it's still so early. She's just not really paying close attention. She's just noting a little like a few behavioral defects that she's like, okay, I remember that. I remember that. But this is right around like 6 to 7 in the morning. So who even knows what's happening at that hour? I don't. We know that Andrew did get up. He got dressed for school in his school uniform and he said goodbye to his family before everybody was going to head out on their separate ways. And then he walked, I believe, through the back area around his house towards the Westfield Park. And you've got a picture of the entrance to that park, right? So this was a normal path for him. He would usually cross the park because it would get him to his bus stop. This was witnessed at 8:05 a.m., believe it or not. A family friend, a neighbor saw him walking through the park. But Andrew never got on the bus.
Mm.
Before reaching his bus stop, he looked around, saw that the coast was clear, and diverted his path to go somewhere else. What we know is that Andrew then walked to a nearby ATM, and it was established he already had his own checking account, which his parents helped him open, and he had his own debit card, and they just put like maybe some birthday money in there for him. He only had about, I think it was 214 quid or pounds to his name. The ATM specifically could only allow people to take out a max of, I think, $20 bill. You could take out bills in like $20 increments, right? So he just took out everything he could, given that $20 increment rule. So he took out 200. So he's got 200 pounds exactly, pretty much everything to his name. And I was looking up the like currency equivalency of that because this was 2007. I was like, what would that be in US dollars today? It's pretty much the same. So
Okay.
it's like 250 bucks. For some reason in my mind, I was like, maybe that's a substantial amount of money. Like maybe he thought that could have lasted him like a week. Maybe he did think that could have lasted him a week, but he's a pretty smart kid, specifically with numbers. So I would wager to say no. He
Yeah.
was taking out that money, and I think he was cognizant that he wasn't going to get very far with it, but he still wanted it and needed it for something. We just don't know what that is. But this is what we've got. Around 8:15 a.m., after withdrawing the money, we have CCTV footage from a neighbor's camera that shows Andrew walking back to his home, which of course at this point is entirely empty. Sister's gone, father's gone, mother is gone. Investigators were later able to determine that once he walked in, he threw his uniform, all of it in the washing machine. He took off his blazer. He put it on the desk chair that was in his room. And then he threw on some casual street clothes. He actually wore a black Slipknot t-shirt. He was a big rock and metal fan. He wore black jeans. He grabbed a bag, which I'm not entirely clear what was in the bag, but from what his family and investigators said, it sounds like nothing, which is almost creepier to me. Nothing in the bag.
Really
He took
weird.
it's not like he took an empty backpack, and then he took his wallet, took his keys, and he took his PSP, portable PlayStation. What was interesting here is that, like I said, family couldn't determine that anything else was taken. He had no clothes that he took other than what was on his back. He didn't take a jacket or any kind of like protective weather clothing. And one of the most interesting details, again, which people don't fixate on, is that he didn't take a charger to his PSP. We could chalk it up to him being forgetful, or we could chalk it up to him believing he was going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to hear what you're going to say about that and how you feel about it. Could I pause right now, actually, before I go through more?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to weigh it in my mind currently. The backpack being empty plus the charger getting left behind does indicate to me that it's almost like maybe he was going to like pick something up even and throw
That's
it
what I
in the
thought.
backpack
Yeah.
and then come on back. Like I that's sort of where I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards he thought he was going to come back. And also I think it's supported by nice home life. He seems like a nice, bright kid. It doesn't seem like he had much to escape from other than, I guess, this, bully we're kind of conceiving in our heads. But that's so eerie.
Well, I can't even say for sure if the backpack was empty. This is just the hunch that investigators and the family are going off of, because they're like, well, we know the backpack is gone, but none of his clothing seems to be gone. He didn't take
Mhm.
any like really personal like mementos or any valuables. So they're just assuming it's empty. It's still very possible he had something on his person that maybe he was keeping at school. Maybe he picked up even that morning or the day before that he was carrying in the backpack. It's so difficult to say, but he
Mm,
did leave the PSP charger.
okay. And it seems like something he would not forget.
That's what I'm thinking. And I'll
Yeah.
go into that a little bit further as to why I think the PSP might be super relevant to this. So where we're at is 8:30 a.m. Andrew is seen once again on CCTV through a neighbor's camera leaving through the front door. He starts to walk down Littlemore Lane. You see a picture of that, like we saw
Mhm.
before. We can trace his steps because the next location that he is seen is the Doncaster railway station. So what we know is that he went straight through the front door, straight to the train station, and then a witness who interacted with him could confirm this exchange happened. This is the ticket clerk who spoke with him and remembered him as very calm but very insistent. Not particularly memorable. Nothing really stood out about the interaction, his, persona or anything. He just asked for a one-way ticket to London, which would cost him £31 and 40 pence. The clerk remembered offering him to upgrade to a round trip ticket to be like, well, don't you want to come back? It's only £1 more, I believe. I'm trying to remember because I thought I read 50 pence, which is like 50 cents more. So,
Mhm.
but it actually might have been a pound. But even so, either or, it's like almost nothing to get a round trip ticket, which he was insistent to decline, which the clerk thought was really bizarre. Why would you not get a round trip ticket?
Mhm.
You're 14.
Well, to me it indicates I don't know how long this is going to take me. Whatever he was going there to do.
That's
Or
the
I'm
well,
running
yeah.
away forever.
Either or. It's kind of like, sure. I mean, that's what the behavior would suggest, unless he's truly just not thinking about it and being like, well, yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to be there. But also, he has no clothes. He's taking no like toiletries, personal items with him. He has like $200. Like,
Mhm.
he can't imagine that he's going to last very long. So it just struck me as strange that he felt so confident that he would only need a one-way ticket and he would just figure it out.
Mhm.
I think when we've seen like kids run away before, well, I don't know. Does this remind you of Michaela Bali at all?
Refresh me just a little bit.
Michaela Bali, she was a girl who was similar age, actually. She might have been around 13, 14, and she ditched school in a similar way. And she was texting somebody on her phone. Like she was
Oh, yes.
absolutely going to meet up with someone. She was blonde, had glasses.
Yes, I remember this.
Hers is an interesting case because she technically was trying to meet up with someone, but I think it's ambiguous whether or not she was actually planning to run away or be with this person for a long period of time because she didn't take any belongings. She didn't
Mhm.
really she didn't pack like clothes or toiletries or take personal items. So that seemed more like an encounter, which you could almost say this seems like because he has nothing on him and yet he only wants to get a one-way ticket.
This would not have been a time where he would have had a cell phone, right? It's 2007.
Funny you should ask that. He did. So I read. And this is a little bit murky. 2007, he had like a brick phone. He did not have
Mm,
a smartphone or anything.
yeah.
And he had reportedly had a couple of them for like safety since he was about 10, because again, he was going to school on his own and whatnot. So his family had him with brick phones since he was 10 years old. But again, these were really like kind of rudimentary. Like he couldn't access the internet or anything. And inevitably, when they search phone records, they don't find anything of note that would suggest he was in contact with anyone outside of his friend group.
Hmm.
The phone was left behind from what I read. I couldn't confirm that, but it sounded like he definitely did not have the phone on him.
Oh, weird. Okay. Oh, this is so strange because it's like, how is he, if he was going to meet up with somebody or pick something up, like, would he need that? But maybe not. I don't
That's where
know.
the PSP comes into play.
Oh
I
my
have
God.
I have a theory about this, but I'll keep
Okay.
pressing on. So where did I leave off? We talked about 8:30,
The
right?
round trip ticket.
Well, yeah, he declines the round trip ticket. And then the clerk is just like, okay, that's strange, but I'm not going to think too much about it. So sometime between 8:35 to like 9:35 in the morning, Andrew's just like solo in the train station. That's important as well. Nobody sees him with anybody else. He's waiting for the train. So then there is another witness, an actual person who sat next to him on the train. He gets on the train, quiet, kept to himself, and she described that she sat next to him and just noted how young he was and that he was alone because he looks younger than his age. And she said he was like engrossed with the PSP. He was like playing the video game nonstop, which again, I thought was really interesting because I'm like, well, how long could the battery life on a PSP be?
Mhm.
Like he doesn't have a charger. Like that thing's going to die on him. The play life is somewhere between like anywhere from 3 to like 10 hours, depending upon what you're doing. But if you're playing video games on it, you've got about a 3 to 6 hour maximum of playtime at a full charge. So I'm thinking to myself, the train ride's going to be at least 2 hours. That thing's going to die.
Yeah.
And if it dies, maybe if that's his only mode of communication, if that's the theory we're going to lead with, what now? He has no charger. He has no way to contact anybody. I'll keep going. So he's on the train, sitting next to this woman. She watches him. And then I believe within that hour, the school gets their first alert from the teachers that Andrew is not in class. He didn't attend any of his morning classes, so the protocol would have been to contact the parents, of course, because there was no sick call that came in through an office error, believe it or not. Is that rain in the background that I'm hearing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's storming.
Okay, I was like,
It's
what
storming.
is that? She's storming. Sorry, I'll keep going. So there's an office error at the school where they placed 2 phone calls to 2 parents and left voicemails. Someone in the office looked at the wrong child when they were making these calls. So they picked the parents of the wrong kid. So Andrew's parents get no notification that Andrew has not
Oh my
showed
God.
up for school, which is a really grave error and lost time in
Oh.
context here. So he just remained on that train without detection for quite a while. The train arrived at King's Cross Station in London around 11:20 that morning. And then there is CTV footage near the entrance or exit, depending upon which way you're going, of the station at 11:25 that shows Andrew, which you will probably see, I'm going to guess, on the second page, maybe the third.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew is leaving the station, might be on the first as well, leaving the station on foot, and he is alone once again. This is the last confirmed sighting that exists of Andrew. It wasn't until that night that the family realized he wasn't even in the house, which is one of the most chilling parts of the story for me. They all came home. Sister, mom, dad, everybody came home, and when he wasn't around, they assumed he was maybe in the cellar playing a game, or he might have been in his room playing a video game. It wasn't until hours passed where they were like, Andrew, dinner.
That is chilling. That is
silence in the house. And at first they started to get a little weary because they were like, this is very unlike him. If he first of all, he's a homebody. He doesn't really socialize with friends outside of school, but it's possible he's at a friend's house. Maybe he just lost track of time. So they start calling around to the neighbors. They start calling around to the parents of his friends. Nobody's seen him. One of the friends also tips the parents he wasn't at school today. That's when panic really sets in because they're thinking if he didn't even make it to the bus, something happened to him on the way to school. Could he have been hurt? Could he have been hit by a car? So then they just set out in different directions that night. This is around 7 p.m., by the way. They're just running into the darkness, trying to retrace his steps. They're like, he usually crosses through this park. He gets to this bus stop. Could he have gone down this way? What would the reason be for him to go down that way? Did he try to come back home? Did he forget something? They're just running through scenarios and spiraling over this. It isn't until 7 or 7:30 that night that they officially call police and they get them involved. Police were contacted that evening while the family is still continuing their ground searches. And I believe within just 3 hours of the report of this disappearance, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of leaflets that were printed and circulated throughout the neighborhood about a missing child named Andrew. Before we go any further, let's just pause there and just talk about what we've gone through in the timeline and where this is all landing.
Oh God, the panic like 11 hours later being like, "Oh my God, we had no idea," is just so terrible. I will tell you, this picture of him, the CCTV footage picture,
Mhm.
his stare is so he looks so lost. He looks so his eyes look so vacant. I just really my heart breaks looking at that picture because it just I like want to hug him. It's really sad.
What's kind of chilling about that photo is that when you look at the video of it, when he comes out of the exit, he's almost frantically looking in different directions, like he's
Yeah.
looking for someone.
Oh God.
And people were saying, no, maybe he's just lost and he's looking for which street he should take. A lot of people believe he comes out of that station looking as if he's trying to find a familiar face
Mm.
and meet somebody.
Well, either one of those is just it's sad because it's like he's either lost and it looks it or he's not seeing the person that promised they were going to be there for him,
Mhm.
and that's also sad.
He's also not using the PSP, which I was wondering if that could suggest that it died.
Mm, probably.
Well, I mean, there's a whole host of reasons, I guess, because if I'm going with this theory, which again I will get into about the PSP being the messenger, like the secret messenger of how he's contacting this mystery person, it's Wi-Fi compatible, and you do need to be connected to Wi-Fi to use it, but that's not commonplace in 2007, not
Mm-mm.
on a train.
Mm-mm.
So even if it was still on, it's probably at that point unusable still.
Yeah. Oh God.
But how are you feeling about the scenario overall? Just like the timeline of him getting to the station, being adamant that he wants a one-way ticket, and then maybe just the nonchalant behavior on the train?
I sort of feel like he's the type of kid that has a plan. So I'm starting to get the feeling that this there was somebody there that he was hoping to meet up with. I don't know why that gut feeling just came to me, but I feel like just based on his intelligence level,
Mhm.
based on the fact that he didn't pack everything, that he probably if you're a really, like, kind of bright, planny type of person, the
Mhm.
fact that he's not bringing stuff to me indicates, like, "Oh, I'm going and I'm meeting up with this person. They're gonna have the things that I need."
Interesting. Yeah, like it's somebody who's got resources, so I don't even
Yeah,
have to
which
worry
could be
about that.
grandma.
I just have to show it could be, that's the thing, but we have no evidence to support would he show up unannounced to grandma's is the question. That's the mystery.
Mm,
I
mhm.
I would think no, but it's not off the table for a 14-year-old. It's just it seems like a crazy endeavor to get on a train and go into city center London that's hours away from your hometown to just show up at grandma's door.
Yeah. The other thing I have to say too is this takes a lot of courage, and I know that, like, courage is probably that's the wrong word to use here, but, like,
I think that's right. It kind of
eh,
resonates with me.
I mean, it's like, for a 14-year-old to kinda gear up to do this, I mean, that's whether it's going to grandma's or it's going to, like, I don't know, some concert or, like, event or what meeting up with a total stranger, I mean, this takes a lot of courage to be able to, like, do all of this and go to a big, bustling metropolis like London.
I think I can color that a little bit, because something's dawning on me now. Because I thought the same thing. I was like, in my mind, because he's described as such an introvert and such a homebody, which I do think he was, I was like, "This is his first time doing solo travel." That actually I don't think was the case because his family was talking about remember how I said he was in, like, gifted program in his
Talented.
school?
Yeah.
Yeah, young, talented, and gifted. They had, like, a summer retreat, kinda similar to something that you did that I remembered.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like Future Leaders of America or
Uh-huh,
something.
uh-huh.
They had a similar trip like that I believe he took this summer that was technically he was chaperoned, but I think it was like a solo retreat for like a young student. So he had traveled a little bit, but this would have been a big leap to go buy the train ticket and just throw caution to the wind and go to London.
Yeah, but that could explain if he had just done that trip that summer. I mean, his confidence, I guess, was higher than maybe it would have been in the past.
And he had a good time. So his family said he came back
Mm.
and he was elated about that trip. So I don't know. Just I think maybe we can take it with a grain of salt, but I wanted to add that to color some more of the context about how Andrew might have felt about solo travel.
Hmm.
So, where does that leave us with the investigation kicking off? Andrew is gone. He is missing and he has this mysterious one-way trip to London. What do the investigators uncover? Because Andrew is 14, the police do work kind of swift on this at the start, because the moment that everyone is aware that a child is missing, everybody gets boots on the ground. And within the first 72 hours, police were able to determine the morning foot traffic that Andrew took. Because, mind you, at the moment that he disappeared, the parents knew that he was gone. Nobody knew he went to London. They thought he was somewhere in town.
I'm
No
sure
one.
they couldn't imagine that.
There's no note left. There's no evidence. He wasn't talking about going to London. There's nothing that would suggest that he went to London except for the CCTV footage in that town that showed his foot traffic going towards that train station. And that's when police get clued in by talking to the actual clerk who sold him the ticket. And this person becomes the first witness who's like, one-way ticket. That's all he wanted. So the initial inquiry about the travels, it focused a lot on the family relatives. They were like, all right, if he's going to London, it has to be because he might know that there's family there. So they start interviewing the extended family. I believe they had family specifically in Sidcup and Chislehurst. Again, the pronunciations. I swear to God.
I love how you say it like that, because then it's like, do I know on the other line? And I'm like, baby, I'm in the dark.
I'm reaching out into the abyss for a helpful hand, but I'm just so unsure about it, because as much as you like write it down and you research it 3 times over, when it gets to the pressure of doing it live, you're like, Chislehurst and Sidcup.
And then you're like, and English is my first language. I'm not quite sure but the Brits, let me tell you, they flip the script. Some of the stuff they say, I'm like, baby, what?
One of the best pronunciations I had was the Swedish one for what was her name?
Phoebe?
No, not Phoebe.
No.
Not Phoebe.
Oh, Karina?
She was from, I think it might have been Karina, and it was Skillingaryd was her hometown, I think. That one, Skillingaryd. I was like, I can't get that one wrong. But like I said, he has family in these 2 locations within London. Both options where there could have been family members that maybe, hopefully, they got a knock at the door in the middle of the night and they were like, oh my God, Andrew's here. It is to no avail. There is no record of him trying to contact even a single family member. But it was suggested by his father, like I said, months prior, that Andrew might want to take that solo trip. So they still keep it on the table. It's just getting a little worrisome that he's 3 days into travel and nobody's seen or heard from him. Mm-hmm. No phone calls or anything. Took no chargers, nothing. Footage from King's Cross Station was requested by the South Yorkshire Police, working with the British Transportation Police in an attempt to see if Andrew was caught on camera when he arrived in London. It took 3 weeks of analysis to determine that Andrew had been seen on the exit camera of the station, and this footage would be circulated through the media outlets while the family manually probed strangers in various areas, and they passed out countless flyers. In one instance that I read about, they passed out 10,000 flyers with Andrew's face on it. He was young. He looked younger than his age. It made him vulnerable. He had no resources. He wore thick prescription glasses. He was hard of hearing, if not entirely deaf in one of his ears. He was going to be preyed upon. And at this point, if we're 3 weeks into this before footage is recovered, we're now, I think, 27 days officially into Andrew's disappearance. There has not been a single sighting of him. Police in this are not without fault. I didn't want to mislead people by saying at the beginning that they moved quickly when they found out it was a missing child. They did. However, the 3-week window to examine the footage and locate him was highly criticized as negligent work, and it cost them a lot of valuable time.
I was going to say, I mean, I don't know anything about how long that analysis can take, especially at a train station where there's thousands of people. But the thought that crossed my mind actually was like, I don't know if they're ever allowed to do this, but all police ought to bring parents in to go over that footage, because a parent can spot their child in 2 seconds.
That's what I was thinking as well. And also, you have a window too, because if you know about you have a record of the ticket from that witness statement in his hometown who sold him the ticket. You know exactly how long that train ride was. So you know that
Mhm.
he arrived at 11:20 or 11:25. That gives you a pretty clear window. Let's give it a max of 2 hours worth of footage in its entirety to comb through.
Mhm.
You're gonna probably see him. And also, we have descriptors from that first witness and CCTV footage in the hometown when he was walking of what he was wearing.
Yeah.
We know to look for the black Slipknot t-shirt. We
I was
know
gonna
to
say
look for the
a
dark
Slipknot
jeans.
t-shirt is pretty recognizable, and he has red hair.
He's also a kid who's alone. That sticks out. To
Yeah,
me,
that's
that would
super
stick out.
negligent.
So it was just really infuriating to read about that. And it was satisfying to see that the media sort of came for them as well. And they were like, this is negligent behavior.
Mhm.
Did I say what did I say? Negligent?
Negligee.
Oh my God, baby. Where's that ice cream man? He's
She's
like,
dreaming of it. I know.
so to make matters worse here, there were some other potential sightings of Andrew. These are not official. They are not on the official record. However, these took upwards of 6 weeks before police followed up on them, allegedly. So what kind of burns my ass about it is like people came forward with witness statements that were pertinent to the day he went missing on September 14th, right?
Mhm.
Came to police with this information. If you're a police officer who is assigned to this case, the witness is doing their job. Albeit you can suss out whether it's legitimate or it's illegitimate. I'll get into a second as to why I think this witness statement is legitimate, one specifically. But your job as the police officer is to move on that information and incorporate it into the investigation in a timely manner, in a
Mhm.
quick manner, as if you're losing time, because you are.
Mhm.
Every single hour you're losing time. So waiting 6 weeks to follow up on this is kind of worse than bullshit. It's just kind of insane. But
Yeah.
I'll get us back into the discussion by talking about those witness statements. So one came from a woman. I'm going to have you scroll down to maybe the third page. Do you see a Pizza Hut?
Yes.
This comes from inside a Pizza Hut in London. So it was technically detailed or reported on anonymously, although I'm sure they have a record of who she was because she had nothing to hide. She was actually an employee at the Pizza Hut. So I read. There he is.
There he is.
It only took the hut. Nobody out
Yeah,
pizzas the hut, baby.
I was gonna say he heard Pizza Hut and said competition.
Nobody out pizzas the hut. But I thought this was kind of interesting that she wasn't just like a passerby or sort of like a strange floating character who maybe came across the story of Andrew. She was an employee there. And the first thing I was thinking of, I was like, employee, Pizza Hut. Wait, where's the CCTV footage? Where's the camera footage? Their
Mhm.
cameras didn't work,
Of course.
which is why we can't officially corroborate this witness statement. However, the thing that gives it credibility is what she said. So this Pizza Hut location, which is no longer there, by the way, it closed in 2014. It's on a cross street, I believe, on Oxford and Covent Garden. And it was on the day that he disappeared. She detailed that he came in and he ordered a pizza that had ham and pineapple. When this was run by his father, he said that is his order.
Mm.
It's his favorite pizza, ham and pineapple. No one would maybe know that unless they just took a wild guess. And for someone to come forward, say they saw him, they're a witness, go out of their way to do that, and also know that detail would be next to impossible. He is dead sure that is where Andrew went. But again, it's valuable to know that he maybe went somewhere after he got off the train, but it doesn't shed any light on what was going on. What we do know is that he was alone at this point. So he still hadn't met up with whoever he was potentially meeting up with, if he was meeting up with someone. I just wanted to call out the Pizza Hut detail.
Mhm.
There is another interview while I was researching, and this is a detail that came from the father in an interview where there was allegedly another witness at Covent Garden on that day. It was a man who believes that he had a run-in with Andrew. They were just like passing through a location, and it was difficult for this guy, I guess, to remember what exactly they talked about because Andrew did not start the conversation asking for directions or asking for help. It was kind of a weird, quick little social exchange where they were just like in the same place at the same time and they said something to one another and then went their separate ways. So he never thought anything of it until the picture started circulating and he was like, oh my God, I think I saw this kid. I think I talked to this kid. Again, difficult to say if there's anything to glean from that. But the thing that I took from it was that this man also said at this point, Andrew was alone.
Hmm.
Outside of these two potential witness statements, there is no further information, footage, or evidence to shed light on where Andrew went that day, and his disappearance has never been solved. There has never been any piece of evidence or any belonging that has ever been recovered to suggest something happened to him or he went to a specific place. It was as if he went to Pizza Hut and then he passed through this area, maybe talked to a stranger through a quick exchange, and then he was gone. Before I'm about to launch into theories here, how are you feeling about the strangeness of this mystery? Because we could say that these two witness statements are the firmest, but if you go to the subreddit for Andrew's case, which it is massive, there is so much interest in his story, you will see leagues of people combing through random like YouTube videos and like tourist videos from like city center London in 2007, September 14th, looking for Andrew in the background of other people's shots. It's possible he was mixed up in a crowd of people, but nobody saw him.
I had it kind of dawned on me as you were like wrapping up that segment. I was thinking to myself, I kind of feel like he was going through something at school. I feel like he woke up that morning. He had already kind of had this thought of like, you know what I could do one day if I really want to escape this person? I could just go to London. I could go to a big city and just spend the day there. And then I don't know, I'll figure it out once I get there what I want to do, and I'll have a day and then I'll come back. And I don't know why that thought came to me that maybe on this day, whoever that bully was or why ever he didn't want to go to school, he decided, okay, I'm going to get a ticket. I'm going to go to London and I'm going to bop around and just have myself a day. And then whenever I'm done and I feel like, I've kind of gotten this out of my system, I've escaped school for the day because it's a Friday, then I'll have the weekend, I'll come back.
Yeah.
And I feel like, unfortunately, because it made so much sense. Like if I'm a kid that gets off the train and I'm like, I don't really know where to go next, go to the Pizza Hut. It's right there. Like get a pizza and then
go to what's familiar, what you know.
Mhm.
Maybe you feel a little uneasy, but it also suggests a weird element of safety too, that you feel comfortable enough and that you're not in any immediate danger, you're not being preyed upon, that you can go and get food.
And then I think has an interaction with the stranger. And then I really just feel like, unfortunately, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself because we're about to do theories, but like,
No, this is helpful. I want to talk about this.
I feel like someone saw him looking out of, lost and said, that's a perfect, person that we can prey upon. I feel like that also happens all the time in train stations and airports, like places where, there might be minors that are traveling alone.
It's weird to say, but it's almost, he was visually a vulnerable person just being a young person in a crowded, busy area. But I would imagine for somebody who is a predator or is trying to prey on somebody like Andrew, there is a bizarre sense of security in seeing a child who is closer to a teenager, because you might assume, oh, they may really be on their own. If you see a little kid, that's probably who's alone. That's a little kid that's lost. You know that their parent or guardian or chaperone is somewhere in the vicinity, and there's risk to that. Andrew may seem like less of a risk because you can be assured, if you approach him especially, did you come here alone? He confirms it. That might be it.
And I don't know why this just played in my mind like a movie, but I saw someone coming up to him and saying, "Oh, you like Slipknot?" And like that, like what a perfect opener. What a perfect way to.
That's so good to talk about, like the conversation starter of the actual apparel he's wearing, because I thought about that too. I was like, what could be the entry point where an adult would come up to him to talk about something? It could have been if he was on the PSP and they were like, what kind of games are you playing? Or do you like that? I was thinking about getting one. The Slipknot thing makes total sense to me.
Something to connect with them on immediately and disarm them or make them feel comfortable. Ugh.
So with that said, let's get into some theories here and just discuss what would be logical, what can we make sense of, what do the clues suggest, because there are more details that come from this. Okay. The first theory that everybody sort of jumps to is that this was a runaway scenario and is still a runaway scenario. A lot of people believe that the logical assumption here is that most people would say Andrew made all of these decisions, right? He was seen alone for the majority of these witness statements, actually, all of these witness statements. So he made these decisions. He chose to leave, get the ticket, take nothing, take the money that he had. It's just that one thing kind of cancels out the other because, yes, he did make all of these decisions. However, they seem counterintuitive to somebody who would plan to actually run away. You would maybe see a note. You would maybe see that they took out more money or had saved more money. Maybe they took clothes. Maybe they took jewelry or valuable things they could pawn off. It just seems like there's a lack of plan to all of his pattern. And yet it was so deliberate that he was going to do this on this day, no hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So some people are saying, is it possible he intended to run away for whatever reason? We can unpack that. It could have been a multitude of things. Bullying, unhappy at home. Some people suggested he was struggling with his sexuality. And did he just sort of vanish into the population of London, where he remains to this day?
I don't think that that's possible.
It's far-fetched, but I guess people harken back to like stories of that from like the 70s of like kids that ran away and just kind of find their way
Mm-hmm.
along a path. It's just hard for me to believe it because
Yeah,
I have no close-up experience of seeing what that looks like.
I don't either. I guess the only thing I pull on is that it seems like he really truly loved his family. Um, and also I was just thinking about that in terms of it being, the 8 days into the school year.
hmm
I bet his parents wrestle with the thought of like, what was he going through? Why didn't he say anything? And I'm like, it was relatively early on in the year. Like maybe he just was like, I don't even know how to talk to mom and dad about this. I don't even know how to, or that could also be a sexuality thing. Just like it kind of having, the feelings start. And then you're like, I don't know how to process this. I don't know. I was just thinking about his parents and what they must have thought this whole time. And the 8 days to me still sticks out that it's like too early to it could have been so early into the school year
Yeah.
that something happened and he didn't even have time to tell them about it.
And it just seems the timing of it, if we're assuming that's the catalyst, the timing of it just seems so specific because if it wasn't school related or related to something happening with bullies or harassment or social issues at school, why didn't this happen 2 weeks before? Why didn't
Mhm.
this happen over summer break?
Mhm.
Why now is my question.
Mhm.
Something had to have been the catalyst that would incite him making the choice that I've got to get away.
Yeah.
I've got to keep this a secret from everybody. Friends don't know, sister doesn't know, family doesn't know. I'm going to fake it out, walk to the bus stop, come back and do a full uniform ditch and just head out.
Mhm.
But it could have been that that's how that started, let's say, if he was running away, albeit if it was permanently or even like you were suggesting just for the day. The bigger question is what happens to him after? Why is he never seen again?
Mm.
Why are his belongings never found? Where does he go?
I don't want to think about it. I feel like I know, but I'm curious what you know.
Well, I think that this ties into a couple of different ways that we could spin this. I think that the logical here is that if we don't have a body or we don't have any witness statements or sightings and we don't have any trace of his belongings, we're going to go down an avenue of a groomer or a predator and that this was a planned meetup the entire time. Or he was running away or taking a day and he was met with foul play in another way that was maybe opportunistic. So let's explore the grooming element of this and maybe the theory around an online predator first. Because one of the leading theories on this, everybody said the same thing. They were like, he was absolutely coerced online.
Mm.
Absolutely. But it's very similar in some regards to Aisha Degree, where there is no evidence to suggest that he was talking to anybody online. There's no computer detail, message exchange. So the question is, who was he talking to? How did he find them or how did they find him? And through what medium? The family computer was scoped. There was nothing on there to suggest there were any nefarious searches, no chat rooms, no private messages, nothing in the realm of predator. This also transferred to the school computers, which were thoroughly inspected by investigators. Nothing of the sort under his login. So we know that he had access to those computers, although his parents said that his internet usage was pretty limited and he was also kind of disinterested in it. I personally find that kind of hard to believe, especially considering he was an introverted, intelligent kid, but not off the table. Sorry, I'm done. I'm getting over an illness. Can you tell I'm getting over illness? I got so sick after New York.
Oh my God. Well, that just happens when you come back and you get on the plane. I will adjust. I was going to say, I'm my mic, you know, when you like wear your mic, I mean, your headphones and your ear starts to like, it gets too tight. Yeah. Yes. I was like, I'm going through that. So I had to.
I know. I do this. I like crunch my ear down to give it a rest. Flip it over. Show him that slick back bun, girl.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, that does work. Wow.
That's been my trick for about 3 years.
Me just power muscling through it. God.
Which is weird because these are really nice, like roomy headphones. Yeah, I feel like it's like the human body is not designed to have headphones on for a long time.
No.
No cookies. But like I was saying, computers at school, computers at home, clean. Nothing there. So they look at the phone records, any text exchanges, even though, again, he's on a brick phone. So this would be like really rudimentary texting. But also, how is this person even meeting him to like get the number? Is he somebody close to him in town who knows him? Like, why would this all have to happen in London, etc.? But again, it's all to no avail because there's nothing in the phone records that, again, would suggest there's a mysterious number. So what does this leave us with? I fixated on the PSP. And this isn't a theory that a lot of people lead with, and it could be total crap. I don't care. I think it's worth exploring. But in 2007, PSPs were not only capable of connecting to the internet, they were Wi-Fi compatible, but you did have messaging features on there. I think it probably operated in a similar way to like a gamer tag or maybe even like a screen name, like AIM. I was wondering, because that is the only piece of tech, technically, that is never found, if that could be what holds the key here. Was he maybe messaging with somebody through his PSP, and that was where the grooming started to bud, and then that exchange, that sort of online relationship just started to grow and grow and grow, but it was all through this secret of being contained to this one device that his parents were absolutely not inspecting. They said they thought he used it for music. They thought it was because they said he would listen to music on it, which you can do on a PSP. But as we heard from the witness on the train, he was also gaming with it. He loved video games on it. So I think he was exploring it well. You know what I mean? So my question is, how did somebody find him and fixate on him? And were they the ones who coerced him into this plan to say, like, how about you just ditch school and come down to London for a day?
I don't know why the groomer thing is not landing for me as much as him just trying to escape something at school. But I guess I'm just trying to envision a guy like, or a young man like Andrew knowing where to even start with that. But maybe I'm the fool, because he probably knows exactly to start, like finding the chat room, finding, even just the whole Wi-Fi connecting to the PSP back in 2007. I would have been like, how? Like, I feel like that, but he seems like the type of kid that he would be able to figure that out. So I think that's actually what I need to think about it like that.
Well, what we know is that he does game on the thing, right? So if he's doing online play, he's connected to Wi-Fi and he can play with other players across Wi-Fi. There is more than likely some feature where you're seeing gamer tags of other players. Maybe that's how the conversation starts. And a lot of groomers, they won't be upfront where they're going to tell you that, I'm a 30-year-old and I'm talking to you. They're going to pose as a teenager. He could have thought that he was talking to a friend. And as mentioned, he doesn't have a lot of close friends at school that he socializes with outside of school. So I think a loneliness component to this is something to weigh when thinking about how an online relationship in 2007 contained this secret device where maybe it's a friend, or maybe he thinks it's more than a friend. Maybe he was thinking about exploring his sexuality, and it's a train trip to London. I mean, it costs like £30. It's nothing. I'll take a day. The mystery around it to me is that he certainly must have known that if he was going to ditch school, his parents were going to get a call. So he was going to have to explain himself at some point. So the risk element of it, of him, if this was of his own volition, and he's like, I'm just going to take a day trip and I want to meet up with this guy I've been talking to, whether it's platonic or sexual, either or. he's going to get in trouble. But that didn't seem to faze him at all. He had no
Mhm.
real plan of action of how he was going to cover that part of his plan, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like asking for forgiveness, not permission. It seems like was what he was kind of leading with.
Well,
If he intended to go back.
I was also wondering, I was like, maybe this is dawning on me now. I'm like, I'm thinking of this all through the lens of grooming, online relationship, secret relationship, friendship, whatever it is. There is a very real possibility there could have been an element of extortion or maybe like small scale blackmail or something, which sounds crazy, but I'm just thinking about the scenarios that would have driven him to make such a rash decision without the forethought of like, I've got to cover my ass to make sure my parents don't know that I went to London. He just seemed to be like, I have to go to London. I got to take out money because again, we don't even know why he took out the $200. He goes, I got to take out money. I've got to get a train ticket down to London and I've got to pay this person what I have
Mm.
to not do something to me or do something
Mm.
to my family or tell my dad something. These are all hypotheticals, but it's
Yeah.
just what I'm thinking of what could have compelled him to be like, I have to go to London right now, this morning.
Yeah. I almost feel like that, like taking the 200 pounds out, the going to London, it all kind of feels like almost like what he had seen in the movies about running away. Like you take out all your money, you grab a
Mhm.
bag, and then you just go to the nearest big city, and like then you'll find your way. That's kind of where I'm going with a lot of this.
Mhm.
I can totally see the hypothetical of like somebody blackmailing him, but I'm also like, for what? Like what? And also, what would they? you know, who's really looking for 200 pounds? Like if
Well,
he shows up there and it's 200 pounds, they're
I
gonna be
think the
like, "Get
blackmail
out."
I think the blackmail could be a cover for somebody who's actually a predator. So maybe in Andrew's
Oh.
mind, that's what I'm saying is like if somebody initiates, a groomer initiates an online relationship with him and gets him to say some things that are really sexual, really damning, let's say, and then threatens him with being like, I'm going to send this to your family. Or by the way, like you told me that you live in this hometown and what your name is. I know where your family lives. I'm going to send these messages to them unless you come to London and you pay me $200 or something or $100 to stay quiet. When really it's just a very aggressive tactic to get him to show up.
Mhm.
And then the real motive comes into play where the predator just wants to take him.
I really cannot decide if I think that if it's more of like a grooming thing or if it was just him going on his own just to escape.
We
It's
can't know.
so tough.
The thing that unlocks it is evidence on the PSP, which again is missing.
Do we know if it died? I'm sure we don't.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I was trying to basically track how long the battery life could operate. And again, he takes no chargers. So if that's his only mode of communication with this person, he either forgot the charger and then by the time he was on the train, it was too late and he was just panicking, or the PSP is completely irrelevant and charging it is completely irrelevant because they already had a plan of action of where to meet, or there's no person in general because again,
Mhm.
he is only ever seen alone.
Mhm.
I don't know. The only reason I bring it up and I'm so forceful about trying to perpetuate it as a possibility is that he does go missing. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
something happened to him where I would find it astonishing to believe that he just showed up there and then vanished via misadventure, you know,
Mm.
or like fell into a cavern or something crazy like that. Like somebody intervened.
Yeah. Oh, somebody definitely intervened. I just wonder if it's somebody he wasn't. For some reason, it's the like whole Pizza Hut witness and then the other witness. It sounds
Very
like
good
to
point.
me.
Very good point. Forgot about the Pizza Hut exchange, which to me actually does kind of push the blackmailing theory out of possibility.
Yeah. I don't know why, but for me, it still doesn't explain, because I think you can look at it two ways. Like maybe he
Mhm.
gets off the train. I mean, his
Mhm.
face in that picture looks so lost. Like
Mhm.
he's, even if he was looking for this person, doesn't see him. Where are they? Maybe sends him a message on the PSP,
Mhm.
waits around, and then is like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I'm a 14-year-old. I'm in London. I'm just going to go sit at the Pizza Hut. And then I
Mhm.
guess the second witness sighting was after that.
It was, yeah. I
Okay. So
believe so. From the way it was, I mean, it came in after, like this person came forward after, but the timeline of which came first is a little murky, I guess you could say. I imagined it after the
mhm.
pizza
Yeah, me
incident.
too. And then if we're going with the idea that it was a groomer, this person's clearly not getting back to him or not meeting him at the time that he said he would because the
Mm.
kid's wandering around. So that adds an even more chilling layer that it's like he thought he was going to, meet up with this person to
Mhm.
connect, and then they're kind of like maybe stringing him along. Like, that would be such a terrible feeling
Well,
on
if they're
his
lying
part.
about who they are and they're catfishing and they're saying that I'm a
Yeah,
14-year-old too, then they have to wait for the right moment when Andrew is completely secluded from the busy crowds of London and the train station.
exactly.
So they're just kind of stringing him along to be like, oh, come meet me on this street in like a back alley. Or I'm fabricating all of this just for the sake of like exercising the
Yeah,
theory,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it would be an immediate shock, I think, to Andrew if
Ugh.
a grown man or woman showed up and it wasn't what he was expecting. I think he would be paralyzed with fear.
Ugh, I still also can't wrap my head around why he did not get a round trip ticket if it wasn't to just explore and then decide later.
Mhm.
Because I feel like, and I mean, you tell me if this is a wrong intuition, but I feel like if I'm going to meet up with someone,
Mhm.
a stranger, a part of me would want to have the round trip ticket back so I had a way out if I didn't like the person. But also they could
I
have
thought about
said,
that too.
yeah.
Um, I don't know how to think about the absence of the round trip ticket because I put so much thought behind it meaning something that I was wondering if I was misguiding us a little bit. And I was like, it could have been as simple as just being young and like inexperienced with travel and just being absent-minded when you were purchasing. But again, he was deliberate when the person who was selling him the ticket was like, "You don't want to get a round trip ticket?" And he was like, "No, just a one way."
I don't think you're misguiding at all because I think that especially when you're young and an adult is telling you that you're doing the thing that you probably shouldn't be doing, which is not
Mhm.
buying the round trip ticket, most kids would be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I guess I'll just do that, whatever you're suggesting." The fact that he was like, "No, I want a one way" is telling.
I agree. I do agree. When I look at this with a bird's eye view. But the other thing that we should I guess shift into here is thinking about maybe our original theory was correct that this was a solo trip. He was escaping something at school or at home. He wanted to leave and take a day trip, let's say. Shows up in London. We have to put that in context that London is a big, busy, and sometimes very dangerous city. And he is a vulnerable, short, he's 5'3", 14-year-old, looks 12 years old, and he's walking around with a backpack, a little less than $200 on him, and he has a PSP, which I would wager if it was still operational, he was probably using out in public.
Mhm.
You can walk down some streets in London, and I lived in London for a little bit, and people will approach you and you could get robbed. You could
Mhm.
very easily get robbed. I wondered if that might have been a scenario as well, that what happened to him could have been an opportunistic robbery that then turned into foul play. Went
Mm.
south real quick.
Mhm. Mhm.
Curious how you feel about that one.
I'm with you up until the robbery. I feel like for me, for some reason, I envision a predator not like pre-planned though, like a sex trafficking thing maybe, or just a kidnapping.
Mhm.
Because by the looks of him, I mean, maybe if the PSP was like super, super valuable back then, maybe I'm not clocking how valuable it was,
I
but
mean, it was worth like $200.
mhm.
If you're walking around with $200 in your palm and you're a 5'3", 14-year-old, like somebody might come up and mess with you and they're gonna try to pawn that thing.
Yeah, but I would be shocked if they would kill him in broad daylight.
Maybe it turned into something where they didn't anticipate it, where they were just trying to get the PSP and he had a jerk reaction because he had never been confronted with somebody trying to
Mhm.
take something and he just lashed out or had a jerk reaction to like try to fight this person. And maybe that person, when people come up and rob, especially in London, a lot of them pull knives.
Mm,
So that person could have also had a jerk reaction when Andrew took a swing and maybe that person stabbed him without a
yeah,
second thought,
yeah,
without a second thought.
yeah,
And then suddenly they find themselves in a predicament where they just stabbed a kid in a back alley in London and they don't know what to do. They
mhm,
don't know, but they know that they can't leave him.
mhm,
People are going to come looking. People are going to ask questions. Maybe a witness saw something or would see something.
mhm.
Maybe they make a phone call, hide the body. retrieve the body, take the body somewhere. It's just the mystery around the absolute absence of clothing, backpack, PSP, wallet, keys is shocking to me.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody intended for this boy to disappear in his entirety.
Mm-hmm. Also, just thinking about how opportunistic it really would be if he got kidnapped had it not been prior arrangement of a meeting.
Yeah.
I'm starting to like question myself. I'm like,
It's not off the table.
I mean, it's
It's
not,
very
but it would
possible.
be tough. It is very Aisha degree, lots of parallels.
I think a lot of like missing children and like disappearances of young children have similar profiles to this, especially
Mm-hmm.
when it begins with a child or a minor leaving on their own terms for whatever reason, or they think
Mm-hmm.
they're going somewhere to meet somebody, but then the adult or the predator on the other side just panics at some
Mm-hmm.
point. Or it's opportunistic like this, where it's just wrong place, wrong time, and there's a mentally ill person holding him at knife point, and a fight just broke out.
Something just came to me that I remember reading about this case that's so heartbreaking, that because Madeline McCann had just gone missing, his case got really overlooked. Andrew's.
Interesting.
Like
I
all eyes were
Wow.
on her case still because it was the UK. And I just
Mhm.
remembered that, but I was thinking about the grooming aspect and everything. I was like, oh, yeah, because I'm sure so many resources were being used for that case that
That
this one
makes
got
complete
overlooked.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I was like, it's crazy to me, like how something as dire and like time sensitive as this could fall on the back burner, where you've got police missing witness statements for upwards of 6 weeks, but that makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
There is something actually that could support a little bit of this foul play theory here. I was reading something. I gotta see if I have the actual date of when this happened. I think this might have been in 2017, but allegedly there was a police station. It might have been the Yorkshire police, but someone showed up. So I read in the middle of the night to like the front intercom of the station, and they said they have information on Andrew's case. This is haunting to me, but police were like, "All right, let's go buzz them open and go greet them at the door." Walked out to the door, nobody there.
Weird.
So what it said to me was that that could have been somebody who was just doing something horrible, and they really had no connection to this case, and they just wanted attention, or they were like playing a horrible prank, or it was somebody who had some actual information and got scared and skittish, which is compelling to think about. Okay, if somebody has information, that definitely suggests that there is a person or people involved
Mm-hmm.
connected to Andrew's murder. Then in 2021, there were two men that were arrested on suspicion of kidnapping and possible human trafficking related to Andrew's case.
Mm.
It's unclear how police made this connection. But again, they were just bringing them in because they were suspects, but they released them upon further investigation. Both were absolved of anything.
Mm.
I think it had something to do with an address, an old, like random address that was found on the computer that might have been connected to Andrew's account.
Mm-hmm.
And they traced that address, and they found that there was a man that might have been connected to another man who lived there. So they were really sure that it wasn't random that Andrew had this address somewhere on the computer, but they didn't give further information. They were very cryptic about how they delivered this news. And once they did get these people, in an interrogation room, they had really nothing to glean from it. There was
Mm.
nothing to learn.
Mm.
So it just kind of kept this feeling of Andrew being a murder victim up in the air indefinitely, which leads us, I guess, to the fourth and final theory here, is that if we're running out of potential matches for murder suspects or a murder narrative, albeit accidental or connected to this grooming plot, is there a world where Andrew went to London on his own and then was met with a tragic accident where he fell into a body of water?
Mm.
And that's why he's never been found.
Oh, God. That would just be so not senseless, because that's not the right word, I guess, but just what a fluke. What a fluke if that's what happened to him of a day.
And just, I mean, it just leaves so many questions if that's what happened. Like, he unintentionally leaves behind so much mystery about
Yeah.
his final day. But this all kind of traces back to, I think I have a picture of this, River Thames. I think it's pronounced Thames. It's a nearby staple in London, something that many people go to. people clung to this theory, specifically Andrew's family, because they believed it could have been possible because of the absence of any evidence or other witness statements of him. Although it would be shocking to think about a boy going into a body of water and nobody saw or heard it, but it
Mhm.
happens. It could have been possible that he went to go see the water up close, slipped in, maybe it was taken by a current or pulled in through an undertow. And this was so compelling that I believe the family, under the father's initiative, commissioned a private company to do a scan of a portion of this body of water. And the scan was surprisingly successful in recovering a body. It was not Andrew's.
Ugh.
So people do fall in
Mhm.
to this river and they can be recovered. And sometimes they need to be forcibly recovered. Like we wouldn't have found that person unless there was a scan. However, this is such a massive body of water that even with this one scan of it, we could never be sure that
Mhm.
Andrew is or isn't in the river.
I was gonna say, isn't the Thames huge?
Yes,
Yeah.
very. It's miles and miles and miles long. It would
Oh,
be impossible to do a scan of the whole thing.
yeah. Oh my god, that must have been so freaking scary when they discovered that there was one and but it just wasn't his.
It was, yeah, it was around, I think it was the turning point where after this, no matter which direction the family was going to lean with their theories on this, they started to come to the conclusion, because I think it might have been around 2011 that they commissioned the scan,
Mm,
that they believed Andrew was probably gone.
yeah.
For a
Oh.
while, for years, they believed that he could have been out there, he could have been trafficked, maybe he was held captive, maybe he was even just on his own. I think they really wanted to believe that too, that
Mhm.
Andrew hated them or he didn't like them or he was upset or unhappy or he was struggling with his sexuality, whatever it was, it would have been fine to just know that he's out there and he's alive.
Sure.
They just wanted to, and I did a lot of combing through the family website. The father actually runs a website that has a lot of information, childhood photos. It talks about the efforts they put forward with this case. And the whole family wrote a letter to Andrew, which was really beautiful. I would encourage people to go and read it. And they talked a lot about the feelings of like peace, of just wanting to know that wherever he is, whatever happened to him, wherever he left, they don't hold it against him. They
Mhm.
just on- only ever wanted to know that he was safe and he was okay and he was out there and that he was loved. And they
Yeah.
would wish and dream that one day, if there was ever a chance he could come back into their lives, that they could support him in the way that he needs. And the family struggled immensely with this. They never let up on trying to get answers. In Andrew's case, his father, and I won't go into dark details about this, had some really severe struggles with depression
Mm.
after this and did try to take his life and spent some time in a facility to rehabilitate and heal. And I think their efforts were amazing through this, despite some of the shortcomings from police and despite the absolute absence of evidence or a paper trail or any real lead in this. I commend them for never giving up on
Mhm.
Andrew and getting closure to his story. But everything that I have shared with you and the creepers today is what I know about his case.
Oh my god. I remember actually seeing that, at least the text of that letter and being so moved by because it became clear to me in that moment. I was like, but I didn't know the full scope of the case, but I was like, okay, they thought that maybe there was something there that was kind of hidden within him that he didn't feel like he could tell his parents about. And I thought that I remember reading that, like the specific part about whatever it was or whatever it is, you can come home.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, but to write that 4 years later or whenever, it's just like, oh God. So yeah, I commend the parents too. And it just seems like at some point somebody's got to come out and tell us more because so many people saw him that day. So many. It's crazy.
It's even crazier to think that he was in such a densely populated area and that he could have been around hundreds, if not thousands, of people throughout that day within 5 feet of him. But because everybody's, preoccupied with their groups, their families, like you can be invisible in plain
Mm-hmm.
sight in
Mm-hmm.
a weird way. I think about that a lot. And I think that's why it's so valuable that people in his subreddit have combed through old footage, like old, like tourist footage, like people who took videos and posted them who know nothing about this story. They don't know
Mm-hmm.
anything about the case. And people will just go through it frame by frame, looking in the backgrounds of these areas to be like, is that Andrew? Could
It's
that be Andrew?
so chilling to think that there could someday be something found, like maybe even just a arm around his hand
If
on his arm or
that would
something.
truly be the thing that changes all of it, is
Mhm.
if in any footage that is later recovered or turns up, he is seen with another person.
Mhm.
It would tell us more of the story.
Oh god, this is such a heartbreaking one.
I know. I felt so terribly for his family through reading this, because I think the haunting process of how that day unfolded around 7 p.m. and realizing that what they thought was a normal, safe night at home with all of their family, it had been hours where there was like a ghost in the house in a weird way,
Yeah. That's
like an absence they couldn't have anticipated.
just to think that that one mess up, I'm sorry to that office administrator. I mean, that I'm not sorry to that office administrator, but I know it was probably an honest mistake. That
Mhm.
probably cost them. I'm sure his parents have thought and thought and thought about that because
Mhm.
it's totally out of their control. But had that person not made that mistake, they could have gotten there so much faster.
Which is so crazy, because I think at the hour that that call was made, those voicemails were left to the parents who were not his parents. That was before he even got on the train. That was
Oh
before
my
he even
god.
boarded the train. Like, if one of his parents, one of them had been called that he wasn't home, or he hadn't gone to school rather, they could have gone home, seen that he wasn't there, and they maybe would have started to go out on foot, or they maybe would have called police immediately because they would know something's wrong. Not to say that, I mean, they could have worked fast enough, because it did take them 72 hours to come to the conclusion that, oh, Andrew went to the train station and got a ticket. But they wouldn't have lost time like they did with this.
He could, I mean, the chances of him still being alive are up to like 80% if he hadn't gotten on that train yet. I mean, look at me pulling a statistic right out of my ass. Like
I was like, where did that come from?
80%. But I mean, to think I had no idea that that call, or I had forgotten the call was made to the wrong person, but before he had boarded that train. I mean, if they could have caught him before he boarded it, it's like, oh, wow. That's the worst part about this, that mistake.
How are you feeling?
Like, I
That was a
want to.
lot. I threw a lot to you. And also, this is
No,
an
no, no, no.
exceedingly long episode.
Oh, well, no, no, no. I mean, I'm so glad that you did the deep dive on it because when I saw it on Reddit, I was like, "Oh my god, that sounds really interesting just from the top line." So I'm so glad you ran me through that. I
This is a huge case in the UK. I mean, I think everybody knows this is like a staple when it comes to like UK true crime.
Yeah, I feel like there's something so specific about Andrew to me that like I feel like I knew a lot of kids like him in
Mhm.
school that his level of intelligence and his um seems like he was a little bit of a loner just really makes this sit just terribly with me because I feel like that's exactly what someone preyed upon when they saw him. It was like, okay, like there's this kid that looks like he's, alone and doesn't have like friends or family around him and like looks lost, but he's got, like a PSP. He's probably like pretty bright. He's kind of, nerdy or whatever and like perfect target for me to go and talk.
Yeah. And I
And
still wonder if it was opportunistic in that way, where it was either someone looking to rob or a predator looking to coerce him,
mhm.
what his game plan was for the rest of the day. Maybe he
Yeah.
really did have intentions to go and stay with his grandmother, even just through the weekend. And then he
Mhm.
was like, I left my phone at home. So I got to
Yeah.
wait until I get to grandma's so I can call. But also, I got to figure out how to get to grandma's from this place. Like, he's like figuring out travel as a young person in an era without smartphones. Like, it
Mhm.
takes time
Yeah.
to navigate that.
Yeah. And again, takes bravery at some capacity. I cannot get over there is no chance at 14 that I would have the courage to go and
Mm-mm.
find my way to escape if it's some bully at school that I'd figure out how to get to, the nearest big city. I do have to say I admire him for that he was like, I'm getting out of here. If it wasn't the grooming thing. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of admire that about him.
Should we take a break? After Dark.
Let's take a break. I'm like, well, we got to re-listen to After Darks for this because of the hiatus, might be.
The hiatus.
Got to go back. What I ought to do is go back and find the road trips episode with Madam Ham.
It's the most valuable one we have.
It really is.
The original file of that sits in the CreepTime vaults.
I feel like it sits in the corner wrapped in cobwebs in my room.
Well, thank you for going on this deep dive with me about this case. I think I knew the top line of it, but this was really valuable for me I felt really privileged to go back and actually do such an in-depth analysis and see that there's so much information and such like an active like subreddit talking about this and interested in this case to this day. People are posting to this day hoping for new answers. And you know what? Stranger things have happened, and I think we could very well get them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, what a blessing that it happened in an age where people were recording things on their own.
But thank you again for listening. And thank you to the Creepers for joining us for this surprise episode in the middle of the hiatus. We will not be gone for too long. But again, if you don't want to miss a beat while we are on our summer break, you can always try Premium if you'd like to do a free trial, 2 weeks free on Apple Podcasts. Unlock all of the episodes so we can stay with you every Friday.
Yes, get that Premium, baby, and get that magic mind. Get that trial, kick back.
Literally just went into my eye, sat, and then left.
And that is Spirit.
For now, we're going to have to say goodbye.
And good luck, y'all.
All right. We love you guys. We will see you guys at the end of the summer.
Bye, y'all.